through this process that community concern about the proposals to amend Chapter 42's urban standards by extending them to the entire city arises primarily from the fear that existing neighborhoods will be adversely impacted by densification that occurs one lot at a time, a practice known as blockbusting. Therefore, in response to the proposal to extend the urban standards beyond the 610 loop, the Super Neighborhood Alliance asked the city to use those standards as an incentive to encourage the development or redevelopment of large tracts of land that exceed a minimum size. The SNA made this request primarily to protect neighborhoods with low rates of home ownership, because those neighborhoods are likely to have the most difficulty qualifying for the special minimum lot and minimum building size programs. Members of the development community have argued against the two-phase approach. I urge you please to support it for two reasons. First, the two-phase approach is the best way to ensure that all neighborhoods, including those with low rates of home ownership and high rates of rental properties, will have a 2-year phase-in, much like the neighborhoods that are able to fulfill the requirements for filing applications for the minimum lot size protections. Second, allowing increased density to occur only on tracts of land that are at least 1 acre in size during that second year will help prevent blockbusting for an extra year and help to ensure that the amendments achieve their stated goal of facilitating development or redevelopment of obsolete commercial and multifamily properties. Another thanks I want to extend is to Councilmember Costello, because number 2 on our top 10 list was the issue of detention that Mr. Brown has addressed. And Councilmember Costello said, what you all are talking about are political solutions. What we need is a real, hard, fact, science-based engineering solution. We appreciate that and support that. And he has spent the time working with the engineering community to come up with those proposals. He spent time coming out to a special meeting of the Super Neighborhood Alliance on Monday night to explain those proposals to the community, and did so with a great patience and aplomb. But one proposal that came forward from that group that we were disappointed not to see in the Chapter 9 draft that was released this week is the fee in lieu of providing detention on small areas of less than 15,000 square feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a number of council members in the queue. I appreciate your diligence in working on this, and I share your thanks to Councilmember Costello for getting in and adding his expertise. I want to be clear, what is coming to council, all of the items that we agreed are coming to council. In order for a council member not to vote for them, they'd have to make a motion to remove the phase-in from the proposal.
Thank you.
Councilmember Costello.
Ms. Cahill, thank you very much. And I wanted to wait to speak until all of your colleagues spoke. And I want to personally thank everybody with the Super Neighborhood Alliance for, number one, working with the city and working with the development community to try to come to some compromise. And obviously, in compromise, not everyone's satisfied, but yet everybody does. So maybe it's a good compromise. My remarks are going to be directed to Mr. Brown. Ed, you and I have talked on a number of occasions, and I really look forward to having your input in the future as we move forward in improving Rebuild Houston, because a lot of your comments are relative to Rebuild Houston and the role that the city needs to play as the city redevelops, and our responsibility for existing drainage conditions. And so I look forward, and I encourage you to continue to be an advocate for what you're doing. The other thing that I wanted to say, and a commitment that I made to your group Monday night, is the enforcement, inspection, and ensuring what we're promising the community that we will do. And we haven't been a good customer service to the community, and we need to get better. And it's not one organization. It's planning, it's public works, it's building inspection, it's code enforcement. We need to relook at the model that we present today and formulate it to where we do meet our commitments to the community. And you have my personal commitment, and I know I can speak for the rest of my colleagues here, that we all believe that we want to do what's right for the community, and we'll continue to advocate for that. And that's why I mentioned, I thank David Robinson for mentioning during the budget cycle, I'm going to make sure that we have enough funding available to the right departments to make sure that we meet that commitment. And that's my personal commitment to you and your colleagues. So thank you very much for your assistance.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I commit to you that we'll be here for the budget hearings in order to support that commitment, because we understand that resource allocation will be key to successful follow-through.
Councilmember Lansing.
Ms. Gale, I want to just thank you for all of your due diligence and your hard work and the effort that you have put forth in educating each of our neighborhoods across the city about the issues that really matter and count. I want to thank the Superneighborhood Alliance for the hard work that they brought to the table in working with the development community and home builders and council members such as myself. We look forward to standing shoulder to shoulder with you, making sure that the concerns that we have as neighbors are met moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Jane, I just wanted to personally thank you, of course, you being a constituent, but above all, just, your hard work on this. I know you've been stalwart, just determined to make this better, and giving your input. It's been very valuable, so thank you very much. Where are we right now in your perspective? Are you good with what's being proposed? As you've heard, obviously they're working on executive order for complete streets and a lot of the other things that are critically important for the growth in our city. But in terms of Chapter 42, can you give me a synopsis where you're at with it?
I think the best way to say is we're cautiously optimistic. We've certainly withdrawn our opposition to it, although frankly we never opposed the expansion of the urban standards beyond the 610 loop. Our concern was infrastructure and related to infrastructure deficiencies. And we said, if you expand the urban standards and that increased density, just make sure that it's done wisely. Make sure that the infrastructure required to support it is in place, because when you move from roughly 8 units per acre to 27, I've been telling communities all over the city, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the infrastructure that's sufficient for 8 is not sufficient for 27. So that's been our key, and I think we have identified good, solid, workable paths forward for every one of those issues. And we're very appreciative with the development officer and the planning department and you as our fearless leader from District H to work out those paths forward for us. So now it's going to be follow through, and we're going to be looking to all of you district council members and the at-large council members to help make sure that happens.
And I was thinking along the same lines as my colleague, Councilman Costello, of the budget amendment process as well, to see how we could get the proper allocation for some additional resources where they can be most effective in addressing some of maybe the flaws in the system that we learned from some of the interloop stuff. But, so are you in a position where you feel comfortable as is with this moving forward in the path that it's on right now?
Yes, we hope not to see it amended to take out that two-phase approach, and we understand city resources are strapped. So the interloop neighborhoods that already have minimum and lot and building size programs in place, I think can serve as mentors to the neighborhoods that are outside the loop, so that that entire burden doesn't fall only on the planning department.
That's great. Good suggestion. Thank you.
Councilmember Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you, Jane. You're a very highly qualified person, being a lawyer, and I think with an advanced degree in archaeology, and I mean, that's a good starting point, but then you've been turning the stones over for your Property Owners Association and for the super neighborhoods for many years. The problems we're talking about here are not always obvious from reading the regulations, but you have to be able to spot them from your experience and from your intuition. And so that's what you and David and many of the others have brought to this, an experience and an awareness of the issue. So thank you for the tour of the Washington Avenue, where we saw the utility problems as well as the drainage problems and the parking problems, and you have done a great job to help us bring this forward. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. Jane, thank you very much. I certainly got a high-level education once I was elected. I think you were probably in my office about 24 hours after I was elected. And I've learned a lot from you, and I'm very appreciative. So I just want to be clear, and I think the question was asked and answered, but just for my own satisfaction, we don't want to sacrifice the good for the perfect, and we know that we're not going to have everyone's not going to be satisfied. But it is in your opinion that you can live with Chapter 42 the way it is now, and with the understanding that there will be problems and that they must be addressed in a timely fashion, and that the information must be out there, and we need to seek the advice and counsel of people like yourselves and the others from the super neighborhoods. But again, you're comfortable the way Chapter 42 stands right now.
Yes, I said we've withdrawn any opposition to it that we've had.
Thank you.
And I think it would be fair to say that the majority of the concerns the neighborhoods raised, and the point that I've made all along, is that they're not in Chapter 42, and we are working productively on all of those other areas, from complete streets to drainage issues. Thank you.
Thank you.